Welcome in everyone, LUFOELT coming to you with another video about English speaking and listening, and today we're going to focus on pronunciation and in particular stress in pronunciation. And this video was suggested by one of my subscribers. The video that he requested was about sentence stress, and I'm breaking this topic down into two videos. One is the one we're going to focus on first is actually word stress, and then I'll make another video next week about sentence stress. And the reason why is because word stress is actually a little bit more difficult for even intermediate or upper intermediate non-native English speakers, because it's smaller and it requires a lot of understanding and focus. And something that can typically happen is that non-native speakers will kind of bring over the stress patterns from their native language into English, and sometimes they match and that's fine, but sometimes they're different than English. The way that they stress certain sounds or syllables or words in their native language does not match with English. So when they are speaking English, they stress the wrong syllables or things like that. So that's why I'm focusing on word stress in this first video, and after we look at that, then we can build on and continue on to sentence stress. Okay, so first let me just define what these ideas mean. So word stress is the idea that within a word which has more than one syllable, one or more of those syllables will be stressed and the others will be unstressed. And sentence stress is the idea that within a sentence, one or more of the words will be stressed while others are not. Okay, so it's pretty simple to understand, and as I mentioned, we're going to be looking at word stress first. And I think this can help you to think about these ideas by just dividing these components of language, these parts of the language, into lower levels of understanding and higher levels of understanding. And when I say that, I don't mean like beginner level and then, intermediate or advanced level. What I mean by lower level is smaller components of the language. So the smallest component is a sound, which sounds are made up of phonemes or morphemes, and I talk about this in some of my other videos about speaking and listening. You can find the speaking and listening playlist on my channel and look through some of those where I explain about phonemes, morphemes, allophones, other things. Okay, so we have lower level of understanding of language, which just means the smaller components, the individual sounds and the individual words. And then you have higher levels of understanding, which are, groups of words or sentences or paragraphs. So these kind of bigger components. So I think it's good, it's very helpful to start off small and make sure you have the most basic level of understanding and then work your way up from there. Okay, so this video will be focusing on the lower or smaller levels of understanding. Okay, so just to quickly explain one more time, sounds and words are the lower or smaller levels of understanding. So a sound is like, for example, d or ters, right? This is like a syllable or a sound in a word, and then a full word would be putting together all the different sounds into a full word. For example, doctors. Okay, and then obviously you understand sentences. For example, doctors are smart, or it doesn't have to be a full sentence. It could be like verb collocations or phrases or something that's not a complete sentence. Also falls into this category, groups of words. And then after that, paragraphs. Okay, so I just have an example here. Doctors are smart. They usually have to study many years before becoming doctors. Many of them go to the best universities in the world, so on and so forth. This is not really a complete paragraph, but it's a group of sentences put together, so this is like a text level of understanding. So as I mentioned, we'll be focusing on the lower level or the smaller level of understanding when it comes to stress and pronunciation in this video. So we'll be looking at sounds and words. And as you can see here on the screen with where I have these examples of different sounds and a word, I'm using IPA symbols, and I talk a lot in my speaking and listening videos about how important and critical it is for you to learn IPA, the International Phonetic Alphabet, to help with your understanding of speaking and listening and pronunciation and things like this. I give some resources in some of my other videos. I'll put a link in the description, and you can check out those resources that I think are very, very helpful for you to learn and use IPA. Okay. So first, as I mentioned, we'll be just looking at the lower level of stress with syllables. So a phoneme or morpheme, this is kind of the main component of a syllable. I mean, it's not true that one phoneme equals one syllable, but we put them together to make syllables. Okay, and I have some examples of the differences between phonemes and morphemes here on the screen. And a syllable is basically a single sound or part which a word is naturally divided into when it is pronounced. So you put together phonemes and morphemes and make syllables, these different parts of the words. English has a basic rhythm of stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, or unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed syllables. Now, this is true for both like the sound and word level, the lower level of understanding, and it's also true for sentence level of understanding. So understanding this basic rhythm is very helpful for you. And this is not always the case, but basically this is the basic rhythm of English, and I think that's important to understand for non-native speakers. Okay, so as I have already said, learning IPA is really important for you to improve your speaking and listening skills, and I'm just going to give you an example of what I mean by that. So in case you don't know this IPA symbol, which is on the screen, this is the schwa sound, and this is basically an unstressed vowel. All right, and it just looks like an upside down lowercase e. So let's see how knowing this IPA symbol could help you with your pronunciation. All right, if you're learning a new word. So let's just say, for example, you didn't know the word banana. All right, so banana, B-A-N-A-N-A. All right, banana. And banana has 3 syllables. So which syllable do we stress? Well, as I mentioned, schwa is an unstressed syllable. So now let's take a look at the IPA spelling of that word, and you'll see that these 3 syllables, 2 of them, the first one and the third one, have the schwa symbol in there. So you can see that the first and the third syllables will not be stressed, and that the second middle syllable will be stressed. So it's banana, like that. Banana. Banana, like that. Okay? And you'll also notice that there's an apostrophe before the second syllable, and this is another thing that you can learn in IPA, and basically this shows you what the stressed syllable is. When you see this apostrophe, you should stress this syllable. You might also see one that looks like a comma, and that syllable is also stressed, but you should lower the tone of your voice a little bit, so that has to do with intonation. All right, so let's just take a look here at some examples, and I want you to try to think about which syllables are stressed or unstressed. Okay, and I told you about the schwa symbol, so remember that any syllable that has that symbol in it would not be stressed. All right, so first is doctors. Doctors. All right, and you can see the IPA symbol, and remember that the schwa symbol is the upside down E, and that one is not stressed. Okay, so when you think about this, doctors, how many syllables does that have? 2 syllables, and we can see that the schwa symbol is in the second syllable, so that should give you a very clear idea of which syllable should be stressed and which should be unstressed. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is just maybe pause the video, get a piece of paper and a pencil, and write down these words and try to think about how many syllables are in them and which ones should be stressed. Okay, and you can actually draw a line through the word. Like I showed with the banana example, there were 2 lines through the words to show the first, second, and third syllables. All right, so you can do that and then try to decide which ones are stressed and which ones are unstressed. And I'll also say them, and you can practice listening to a native speaker. All right, so we went through the first word already, and let's move to the second word. Watches. Watches. All right, and the third word, apple. Apple. The fourth word, bathroom. Bathroom. The fifth word, inspector. Inspector. The sixth word, sofa. Sofa. The seventh word, favorite. Favorite. The eighth word, potato. Potato. The ninth word, problem. Problem. And the 10th word, sentences. Sentences. All right, so you take a minute and try to think which syllables are the stressed syllables, and maybe you can circle them, or some way you can do that with the words that you've written down on the paper. All right, and I'm going to show the answers in just a moment. So if you haven't finished this, pause the video, and then we're going to take a look at the answers. Okay, and here they are. All right, so for the first one, doctors. Doc is the first syllable. It has 2 syllables, and doc is the stressed syllable. And for the second one, watches. So this also has 2 syllables, and the first one is stressed. All right, and for number 3, apple. Apple. The first syllable is stressed, and this is just the first letter. So you can see that, sometimes syllables contain 3 or 2 letters. Sometimes it's just 1. All right. Number 4, you'll notice that there's no schwa sound here for this one. But as I mentioned, the apostrophe and comma looking symbols in IPA can indicate when syllables should be stressed, and when another one is also stressed, but you lower your intonation. So bathroom. Both of these syllables are stressed, but you can hear that my voice is lowered a little bit when I pronounce the second one. Bathroom. Okay. Number 5, inspector. So here 3 syllables, and the middle one is stressed. All right, and number 6, sofa. All right, 2 syllables. The first one is stressed. Number 7, favorite. All right, so here this is another reason why this shows that IPA is very important. If you look at the IPA spelling of this word versus the normal spelling of the word, you'll notice that the O is missing. Okay, and this is what's called a silent syllable. So you don't even pronounce this if you're pronouncing the word correctly. All right, so you have the first syllable being stressed, and then in the second syllable there's a silent vowel, and it's unstressed. So favorite, favorite. Okay, and for the third word, potato, potato. Okay, so in this word, the second syllable is stressed, and so is the third syllable, but the second syllable is emphasized, and so when I pronounce the third syllable, my voice drops down a little bit. So we have two stressed syllables with one, the intonation drops. All right, and the ninth word here is problem, problem. Okay, you can see how I'm pronouncing this problem very differently, right? It's almost like the second syllable is quieter, and I'm not really trying as hard to pronounce this second syllable. All right, so this really demonstrates the difference between stressed and unstressed. All right, and the third the 10th and final example is sentences. All right, and you'll notice in the IPA spelling, in the third syllable there's what looks like between the S and the Z, it looks like a capital I, and not always, but a lot of times this syllable is also unstressed, very similar to schwa. You can also see that in word number 5, inspector. The first sound also contains that what looks like a capital I or a big I, and this syllable is also not stressed. Okay, so I really hope that this video helped you to understand stressed and unstressed syllables and sounds in English words. And next week I'll be coming out with the part 2 of this video, and this is actually what the subscriber requested, is for me to talk more about stress in sentences, and so I'll be moving on to that in the next video. And I'll also talk a little bit about the connection between the lower level and the higher level, and how you can also apply linking sounds, which I've made other videos on this topic as well, to sentence stress. Okay, so once again, I really appreciate you watching. Please comment on the video if you have any video that you'd like me to make, or any questions about this video or anything. And if you like the video, please like this particular video. Check out my other videos on speaking and listening, and if you like those, then please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day.